Christian Counsel by Fenelon. 5. On conformity to the life of Jesus Christ. We must imitate Jesus, live as he lived, think as he thought, and be conformed to his image, which is the seal of our sanctification. What a contrast! Nothingness tries to be something, and the unimportant becomes nothing. Oh, be nothing with thee, my Lord. I offer thee the pride and the vanity which have possessed me hitherto. Help thy my will, remove from me occasions my stumbling, turn away my eyes from beholding vanity. Psalm 138:37. Let me behold nothing but thee and myself in thine presence, that I may understand what I am and what thou art. Jesus Christ was born in a stable. He was obliged to fly into Egypt. 30 years of his life was spent in the workshop. He suffered hunger, thirst, and weariness. He was poor, despised, and miserable. He taught the doctrines of heaven, and no one would listen. The great and the wise persecuted and took him, subject him to frightful torments, treated him as a slave, and put him to death between two malefactors, having preferred to give liberty to a robber rather than to suffer him to escape. Such was the life which our Lord chose, while we are horrified at any kind of humiliation and cannot bear the slightest appearance of contempt. Let us compare our lives with that of Jesus Christ, reflecting that he was a master and that we are the servants, that he was all-powerful, that we are but weakness, that he was abased and that we are exalted. Let us so constantly bear our wretchedness in mind that we may have nothing but the contempt for ourselves. With what face can we despise others and dwell upon their faults when we ourselves are filled with nothing else? Let us begin to walk in the path which our Savior has marked out, for it is the only one that can lead us to him. And how can we expect to find Jesus if we do not seek him in the states of his earthly life, in loneliness and silence, in poverty and suffering, in persecution and contempt, in annihilation and the cross? The saints found him in heaven, in the splendors of glory, and in unspeakable pleasures. It is only after having dwelt with him on earth in reproaches, in pain, and humiliation. To be a Christian is to be an imitator of Jesus Christ. In what can we imitate him, if not in his humiliation? Nothing else can bring us near to him. We may adore him as omnipotent, fear him as just, love him with all our heart as good and merciful, but we can only imitate him as humble, submissive, poor, and despised. Let's not imagine that we can do this by our own efforts. Everything that is written is opposed to it. But we may rejoice in the presence of God. Jesus had chosen to be made partakers of all our weaknesses. He is a compassionate high priest who has voluntarily submitted to be tempted in all points like as we are. Let us then have all our strength in him who became weak, that he might strengthen us. Let us enrich ourselves out of his poverty, confidently exclaiming, I can do all things through Christ, which strengthens me. Philippians 4:13. Let me follow in thine footsteps, O Jesus. I would imitate thee, but cannot without the aid of thine grace. O humble and lowly Saviour, grant me the knowledge of the true creature, and that I may willingly despise myself. Let me learn the lesson, so incomprehensible to the mighty man, that I must die to myself by the abandonment that shall produce true humility. Let us earnestly engage in this work and change this hard heart to that rebellious to the heart of Jesus Christ, so rebellious to the heart of Jesus Christ. Let us make some approaches towards the holy soul of Jesus. Let him animate our souls and destroy all our repugnances. O lovely Jesus, who has to suffer so many injuries and reproaches for my sake, let me esteem and love them for thy, and let me desire to share thy life of humiliation.